In section 4.3, we're going to discuss graphing linear equations using intercepts, which we actually did in the last section. We just didn't quite call it that. But basically the idea is the x-intercept is the point on the line where y equals 0. So where do we intersect the x-axis? Well, that would actually occur when the y value is 0. The y-intercept is the point on the line where x equals 0. Its coordinates would be 0, comma y. This is actually where we're intersecting the y-axis. And so let's actually look at what we're talking about here. What do we mean by x and y intercepts? It's a little bit easier to see if you're talking about them actually looking at a graph. So let's move on and look at some graphs and see what we're really talking about here. So we've got two different graphs here. For each one, we're going to find the coordinates of the x and y intercepts for each linear equation or each graph. So let's start with example A first, and we're going to start by finding the x-intercept. The x-intercept is talking about where we cross the x-axis. This is the x-axis, and we cross at the black point, that point that I've just made there. That would be considered the x-intercept. The coordinates of that point are 2, 0. So notice that is where y is 0 for our graph. The x value is 2. The y-intercept would be where we intersect the y-axis. That would be this point here. Its coordinates would be 0, -1. Notice that this is where x equals 0 at. When x is 0, y is -1. Let's now look at our example B. And let's identify the x-intercept. In this instance, that's where we cross the x-axis. That would be this point here. Similarly to our last example, the coordinates are again 2, 0. X is 2, and this is where y is 0. To find the y-intercept, we're looking for where we intersect the y-axis. That's this point here. The coordinates of that point would be x is 0 and y is 1. Alright, so now we're going to look at why we'd want to find the x-intercept and the y-intercept. And the real reason is that if we find these things, if we find these points, it's very easy for us to make a graph. So let's just sketch the graph with x-intercept -7, 0 and y-intercept 4, 0. If we combine these intercepts, that's actually all we need to sketch a graph. So the x-intercept, -7, 0, is saying x is -7 and y is 0. That would be this point here. Y-intercept 4, 0 would be this point here. And if we connect 2 points here, we will get our linear function or our graph of our line. So in that last example we showed is it's very easy to graph once we have the intercepts. Likewise, the intercepts are actually a fairly easy thing to find. We know the x-intercept. If we want to find the x-intercept, this occurs at y equals 0. So if we want to find the x-intercept, we want y to be 0. So 3x minus 8 times 0 equals 24. 3x equals 24. And if we were to divide by 3, x equals 8. The x-intercept is going to be 8, 0. So we found the coordinates for the x-intercept. Let's find the y-intercept now. The y-intercept occurs when x equals 0. So to get the y-intercept, this would be 3 times 0 minus 8y equals 24. Well, 3 times 0 is 0, so we get negative 8y equals 24. And if we divide by negative 8, y equals negative 3. That would be our y-intercept. Its coordinates are 0, negative 3. Once we have those pairs of coordinates, now we can plot our line. 8, 0 would be our x-intercept. 0, negative 3 is our y-intercept. And when we connect those, we get the graph of our line. Alright, so we're going to do one last example, very similar to the one before, where we're going to find the x-intercept, the y-intercept, and make our graph. So to get the x-intercept, we know we want y to equal 0. Negative 4x plus 2 times 0 equals 12. So negative 4x equals 12. If we divide by negative 4, x equals negative 3. So the coordinates of the x-intercept are negative 3, 0. Let's find the y-intercept. This is going to occur when x equals 0. So negative 4 times 0 plus 2 times y equals 12. 0 plus 2y equals 12. So if 2y equals 12, then we know y equals 6. The y-intercept is going to be 0, 6. So now we've got our intercepts and we can make our graph. Negative 3, 0. 0, 6. We've got our two intercepts. And we connect them, we get the graph of the line.